Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. So we are talking about the dire crisis that is moving across Europe right now as we speak. As everybody's been fixated on the budget, and we will come on to what's been happening in the budget, guys. I'm going to give you guys a rundown. Now the smoke has settled. Now the fog started to calm. I'm going to talk about what's been happening with the budget. But also, before we get onto that, guys, there is something that is really pressing. Now, this headline of this live stream, prepare to lose your children, they're not my words. They are the words of a military chief. Now, I'm going to read you guys this just real quick. This is from an article from the New York Times. Army chief ignites uproar after saying we must accept losing our children. Now, they're not my words, guys. That is an article released in the New York Times. Where was the timestamp? November the 24th, so a couple of days ago. This is the, I'll read that again, guys, okay? So the army chief ignites uproar after saying, France must accept losing our children. Now, this is a French army chief saying this. But look, guys, it's almost as if we're in some sort of like coalition, like as if they've got a name for it, like Coalition of the Willing or something. And this started in Germany last month. The Germans last month, they said they're going to start a mandatory military medical check. And in that German check, they are going to go through people's health and will they be able, and they're going to ask them, will they join the military? Now, the Germans have been quite clear. The Germans have said if they don't get the numbers, then they are a voluntary military, from voluntary military service, then the Germans are going to introduce mandatory military service. Now, that is the German front. The French recently, and I think this is going to start next week, France turns to voluntary military service to bolster its armed forces. Facing a resurgent Russian threat, France unveils its plan to recruit more young people into the military. So look, guys, while we've got all this talk of ceasefires and peace deals, look at what people are actually doing. And I always say this, don't look at what people are saying, look at what people are doing. The example that I give to you guys, imagine it's like the 6 weeks holidays or whatever, and you've told your kids you're not going camping because they've been like naughty this year. So look, you two have been absolute nightmares this year. If you guys don't buckle your stuff up and start tidying your bedrooms, we're not going camping. I can say that to the girls. I can say that to the girls as much as I want. If they see me going to the supermarket, buying camping stuff, buying tents, buying sleeping bags, buying guns, bombs, tanks, trains, planes, automobiles. Oh, no, that's not camping. You guys know where I'm going, right? It's okay me saying to the girls that they're not going camping because they've been naughty. If I'm doing stuff that would allude to us going camping, then we're going camping. Doesn't matter what they say, guys, okay? So it does look like conscription is slowly heading its way west, starting in Germany. It does look like the French are pulling this off now. I think the British are going to be, it's going to happen very soon to the British. We are going to be talking about the budget today, guys. We're going to be talking about what's happened in the budget. We're going to be talking about the craziness. It does seem to me, this is a full-on socialist budget whereby there's now no incentive to work. There's not. Absolutely no incentive to work right now, guys. If you're in the United Kingdom right now, there is no incentive to work. What the incentive to do, if you live in the United Kingdom right now, guys, what the incentive to do is don't work, put minimum efforts in, and bang out a ton of kids. That's what we talk. That's what the incentive is now. If you live in the United Kingdom, also. Some of these big families, the type of people that have big families, like six, seven kids, they're in for a big cash windfall, guys. They're in for a big amount of cash. It's going to be some fucking crazy shit happening in the United Kingdom, guys. There's going to be some crazy shit coming. Right, so let me go on to the chat, actually. Sorry, guys, I do apologise. I've not got the chat turned on. Sorry, it's on now. I do apologise. Sorry, yeah, Templamat, you're right. You're right, Templamat. Millimono is saying Sean, and I'm saying Millimono. Millimono in capital letters. What do we want? Oh, shit, sorry. White House lockdown. Right, okay, we may have to change the live stream. Holy shit. Okay, guys, I'm just going to read this. Oh, I should have led with this. National Guard soldiers are shot, sparking White House lockdown. Multiple National Guard soldiers have been reportedly being shot near the White House. Okay, right. So it's okay. Multiple National Guard soldiers, and this is from the Daily Mail, published 22 minutes ago. Multiple National Guard soldiers have been reportedly shot near the White House, sparking a security lockdown at the president's residence. I hate saying that. Early reports suggest the shooter may still be on the loose after 3 people were shot down the street from the White House in the center of Washington, D.C. An image has emerged online showing a National Guard troop laying injured on the pavement as blood pours from his head, Jesus Christ, while Secret Service agents give him medical attention. Armed National Guard troops have been deployed to the nation's capital since early August as part of Donald Trump's crime crackdown. Roughly 2,000. So what I'm getting from this is not an actual incident at the White House. This is an incident near the White House, and they have just initiated higher security protocols. That's all we're getting from that at the moment, guys. I will keep people updated if that progresses. I will keep people updated if that progresses. Right, let me go onto the chat, and then we will. Jane Taylor is saying 53,000 illegal migrants have absconded and are missing, according to internal Home Office figures. A leaked document headed absconder pool. So, according to the absconder pool from Jane Taylor, 53,000 illegal migrants are missing. So, where do we think they are, guys? Where do we think these migrants are? Do you think they're living wild in the woods? Do you think they're in the criminal economy? Do you think they've gone home? Weasel Von Easel is saying, I hope you're all well tonight. It's definitely a night I had a Raven Ale. Yeah. Googlino is saying, my parents won't be losing me. I have disabilities, so I can't and won't fight. I don't know, Googlino. They might be if they can't get the numbers, they might be wheeling everyone out in wheelchairs and everything. Like, go and fight with those Russians. Yeah, we've got that one. Sorry, guys, let me just go down. Band again is saying, question, what's family allowance per week nowadays? I don't know what a family allowance is, guys. What are we talking about there? Carol Brown is saying, and we all know what group will benefit. Guys, look, I don't want to say it, I'm going to say it. There's a lot of Muslims that have, the Muslim community, they have really big families, Pakistani families, Bangladeshis, they have really big families, they do. They have really big families, and they are going to be like cashing it in. So, with this budget, what, guys, rather than me talk, let's listen to what Ben Habib thinks. Let's listen to what Ben Habib thinks. Hang on, let me find this. There we are. Right. So rather than listen to me, let's get good old Ben Habib on, and let's see what Ben Habib thinks. So this is Ben Habib talking about the budget, and I agree with everything that Ben Habib's saying here, guys, okay?
There you have it, folks. If you didn't know how disastrous a Labour government would be for the economy, you surely must know it after today's budget. In the lead up to today, we were repeatedly told by the Chancellor and the Prime Minister how difficult it would be to make ends meet. But instead of bearing down on spending, actually this is a budget for those on welfare. It's a budget.
He's absolutely right, guys. The budget that was given today, it's destroyed any incentive to work. Like, where's the incentive to work now, guys? You might as well quit your job and just bang out kids. That's literally like, you might as well just quit your job and bang out kids. And then when you're dependent on the free money that those kids are bringing in, vote for the next Labour government because you don't want that money to stop. Am I right? Is that how things are going?
That's designed to curry favour with people who are not working. Welfare payments are to be gold-plated. They will go up in accordance with inflation. Everyone else who's working in this country will be penalised for it. People who can't afford to have children will have their benefits increased, and everyone who works in this country will be made to pay for it.
So that's what Ben Habib's saying. He's saying people who can't afford to have children will be paid for having children. And, it's something there's something so distasteful about this. When you bring a life, when you bring a life into the world, you should look after that child, you've got every obligation under God to make sure that child is looked after and that child has everything they need. To say that the government and the other taxpayers will look after that child, it's just weird. It's just weird, guys.
Instead of removing the two-child benefit cap, actually what the Chancellor should have done was introduce tax allowances for people who have children. So it's those in work who are incentivized to have children and able to have children, not people who are out of work. It's completely the wrong incentive to have. But the main point is this: if the country's finances are so stretched, and they are very, very stretched, there should have been no increases in spending. The spending should have absolutely had a lid on it, and those who were working should have been encouraged to work more by reducing the burden of cost and taxes on them. Instead, more people are going to be dragged into the tax net, more people are going to be dragged into higher tax thresholds. If you've been a responsible saver and owner of your home, and you've successfully achieved the purchase of a semi-valuable property, frankly, in London, you will now pay a wealth tax. That starts at £2,500 per annum, but you can bet your bottom dollar that in future years, that wealth tax is going to creep up. And if you
remember what I said, guys, that is going to creep up or creep down, whichever way you guys, it's probably going to creep up and creep down, isn't it? Let's face it, that wealth tax is going to creep up, it's going to creep down. So, no longer will it's just tax on tax. There's no incentive right now. If you live in the United Kingdom, guys, there's no incentive to do anything. Literally, there's no incentive to do anything. You might as well just, hang on. What's Millie going on? Right, has Millie said something? Millie, have I got everything? Have I got all your points, Millie? Right, can we talk about the Hong Kong fires? So there were fires in Hong Kong today. I believe it was a block of flats. I think, is it 37 people are announced dead, and there's like 200 and something people missing. Let me check this. Sorry, 36. So 36 people. So 36 people dead. 250 people still missing. Sorry, 200. Okay, guys, these numbers I'm giving, they are reported differently through different news articles. So the BBC from 8 minutes ago are claiming that 36 are dead and 279 are still missing. Now, this was a block of a high-rise block of flats in Bangkok. I'm going to tell you what it's called, guys. you're not going to believe this, right? I'm going to share this with you. Before we get on to conscription, I'm going to share this with you, actually. I'm going to share this with you. I'm not going to lie. It's not funny. It's not funny, guys, okay? The fire was at Wang Fuk. There it is, guys. Look, the fire, and more than 800 firefighters are at the scene trying to tackle the blaze at Wang Fuk. It's a Wang fucking blaze, guys. It's a Wang Fuk blaze. The blaze at Wang Fuk. Wang Fuk's blaze. Tragic times, guys. Tragic times. 36 people have been killed 36 people have been killed and 279 missing. As I understand, that is the fire is coming under control, so it's not in control at the moment, but it's coming under control. Right, guys. Look, let's get back onto this. Let's get back onto conscription or mandatory military service, as they're talking about, or what's it called? Mandatory military service or voluntary military service. Now, look, first of all, we need to understand and we need to be clear about something. What does a win mean? What is winning a war? What is winning a war? It's difficult to try and it's difficult to try and put all this stuff about war, conscription, into context when we don't understand what winning and losing is. Like, if let's just say, for example, let's just say war breaks out in the Russians attack Poland for whatever. Let's just say the Russians attack Poland, right? Okay, right. How have they attacked Poland? Well, I don't know. Let's just say there's troops. They've come in through Belarus and they're pushing into Poland. And war's declared. And the whole of and Donald Trump says, no, thank you, we're good. No, thank you, we're good. And that leaves the Europeans, led by Macron or Starmer, to push forwards and to deal with this threat. Thankfully, we have some really good military. We have some really good military at our disposal. We have some bad military as well, but we have some good military. So, what does a win mean? What is a win? Is a win the destruction of Russia? Is a win the expulsion of the Russians out of Poland? Is a win the expulsion of Russians out of Poland and then go in and bolster Ukrainians? What is a win? And I always get, I always try and when people say, oh, we can't win a war. Okay, what do you mean by winning a war, guys? What do you mean by winning a war? It's very difficult to say, what you mean by winning a war. So look, guys, the crux of the title of this live stream, Prepare to Lose Your Children. All right, I'm going to come into that a little bit more now. This is not me saying this. This is not me making things up for clickbait. This was an army chief, and I'm reading this from the New York Times, guys. Okay, I'm not going to put this. I'm not going to put this on because there's loads of ads. But what I will do is this was an article from the New York Times, published 24th of November 2025, and the headline is "Army Chief Ignites Uproar After Saying France Must Accept Losing Our Children." France, whose relationship with Russia are at low points, has embarked on a concerted effort to convince its citizens that they must be ready for war. Remember, guys, okay, if there's a peace negotiation, if people are talking about peace but planning for war, what does that mean? But warning from the new French army chief that the country must accept the possible loss of its children has touched a raw nerve. Quite rightly so as well. The Army Chief, General Fabien Mandon, who took over as Chief of Staff in September, told mayors gathered in Paris from across France last week that they must become the messengers of a new French resolve on an unstable European continent. He is right in that, ladies and gentlemen. Europe right now is very unstable. We've got sabotage in Poland. We've got literal tanks heading west as we speak. What is needed, he said, is the spirit that accepts that we will have to suffer to protect what we are. And look, guys, like if you guys have seen images of France, like, you know, the images of France that you guys are thinking, like of Paris with the Eiffel Tower and, like, you know, the French guys with the black and white. Is it black and white? Black and white striped tops, the mimes with berries, eating baguettes and garlic. It's kind of not that anymore. It's kind of not that anymore. And I would say the French, I mean, the real French, you know, like with names like Duparé or something, you know, I would say the real French are very similar to the real British. And they're thinking, yeah, I mean, we don't really want to do this. We're good. He's saying if France wavers because we are not ready to accept losing our children, then we are indeed at risk. These words should cut through everyone like a knife, guys. Okay, I'll read that again. If France wavers because we are not ready to lose our if France wavers because we are not ready to accept losing our children, then we are indeed at risk. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not ready to accept losing my children. I don't know. Who put your hands up if you're ready to accept losing your children for Keir Starmer. Obviously, these guys are, you know, this guy's French and he's talking about the situation in France. But look, guys, you know, starting Germany, Poland, you know, Poland are talking about similar stuff. Now the French are talking about it. How long before Keir comes out with some plan and he's like, yeah, we kind of need to do some conscription and shit. Yeah, we need to do a bit of conscription. But remember, they're not calling it conscription anymore. They're calling it voluntary military service. And if you don't do the voluntary military service, you get your, you get your digital ID turned off. That's what the Russians do. Like, literally, that is it? Yeah, that is what the Russians do. Can you imagine being sat there? You know, you're watching Stranger Things. Oh God, come on! Oh yeah, let's watch another episode. Oh, it's late. Yeah, come on, let's watch another episode. Right, and then you get beep 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 beep. What is it? Hang on. Oh, I've got to go. I've got to join the military tomorrow. All right, where are you going? Ukraine. Oh, do you want to clear your shit out before you go? Can you imagine that? His words are blunt. His words were too blunt for some. Are 51,000 monuments to our war dead in our communities not enough? Asked Fabian Rosal, the leader of the Communist Party and mayor of Saint I'm not going to pronounce that, who attended the gathering. Yes to national defense, no to warmongering. I see both points of this argument. So the argument is, you know, if the French don't stand up and say, look, we've got a shitload of soldiers, we've got a shitload of tanks, we're ready to rock. You know, if they don't do that, they will be an easy target. And when governments put this much time, money, effort, resources, public opinion, because public opinion is going, guys. I would say all across the West, public opinion is sliding. So when governments do this, they clearly know something behind the screen, behind the scenes. And like I say on my live streams all the time, guys, you know, hang on. Sorry, let me just jump to the bottom of this chat. Like I always say on my live streams, guys, okay? It's not what people are... Don't listen to what people are saying. Listen to what people are doing. Listen to what they're doing, guys, okay? James is saying... so we all go to war and the millions of migrants stay home and look after our families. I don't think so. Well, at least they'll not be lonely. At least they'll not be lonely. Bandagain is saying, stay at home and fight the internal battles ahead. You know what, guys? I can't. I get asked a lot. Whether I would join the army again. And I always say yes. And I'll still always say yes. I will. I feel like... I feel like my area of expertise is, I feel like my area of expertise is international. But the more I use my friends, sorry, I'll give somebody asked me towards the end of this live stream to give you a Venezuela update. So I feel my knowledge, my expertise, it's all international. It is, guys. It's all international stuff. I've never really worked in the United Kingdom for like UK customer or UK client. So I would always when people say to me, Sean, would you join the army again? I always say yes. And I think I'll always say yes, because even now, joining the army will open more doors for you than not joining the army. Saying that, I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of friends. I've got more friends who are missing body parts. I've got friends who've got post-traumatic stress. I seem to come out okay, and I think I've been lucky and ridiculously reckless at the same time, so I will always say that, I will always say that I would join the army again. That said, I totally understand the sentiment right now. I totally understand, and I'm not criticizing it at all. I'm totally not criticizing the sentiments at all, where people say, well, do you know what? I don't want to go away and fight a war against the Russians when, I don't want to go away and fight a war against the Russians and leave my wife and kids in the United Kingdom when there are threats in the United Kingdom. I totally get that, guys. And you know what? I agree with you. I agree with you. When people ask me that direct question, I have to say yes. Pipstar1 is saying the French don't have the balls to do anything. They won't help us. So the way this military is being panned out at the moment, guys, so we need to stop thinking about the French, the Germans, the Polish, the the Lithuanians, the Estonians, the Latvians. We need to think about the whole of Europe now. Forget the European Union. We need to think about the whole of Europe as one military. That's what, the whole. So consider now the whole of Europe as one military. And in that group, everybody has their different parts. Everybody has their different parts to play. So, for example, the British will be operating as the special forces, or the high readiness, or the strike element. I'll call it the strike element. Let's not give people too much, Let's not blow people's trumpets too much, okay? So Britain will be acting as the strike element. What do I mean by that? Out of the whole of Europe, and I do know what I'm talking about, guys. I really do. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Out of the whole of Europe, Britain have the best force projection capacity. We do. There's no denying it. There's no denying it at all. Nobody's even close. Nobody. Realistically, the Americans are the only people that are close or even. But that's just because they're bigger. So Britain have got this very niche role whereby it will be British troops surging forwards and taking ground. And that's going to be Britain's role. Kind of like a special forces role, but I'm not gonna blow people's trumpets when it's potentially unnecessary. Now, what Britain doesn't have is the heavy armor, the manpower, the artillery pieces to hold that ground. So the way I see this panning out would be Britain to be surging forwards, taking ground, and then retreating once the French, the Polish, the Germans, you're probably the Polish actually, once the Polish have moved in. That's how I see this working, France, again, they're a huge nuclear superpower. The French have got a lot of nuclear technology, like a lot. And again, when people say, oh, but, and I bet somebody on the chat said it now. Oh, but Russia's got the world's lead. Yeah, it's not, guys. Russia is not the world's leading nuclear superpower. Then they claim they are. They claim they are. And the example I always give you guys to try and visualize it. Imagine if you've got a scrapyard with 100 cars, all right, and they're missing wheels, they're missing engines, they're missing windscreens, they've been pilfered, they've been left out in the rain, fuel tanks have rotted, but you've got 100 cars. You can claim you own 100 cars. That's true. You can claim you own 100 cars because you do. You've got 100 logbooks, you've got 100 VIN numbers. You own 100 cars. I get that. Jono down the road, he's got a little carpool and he's got 10 cars. Who's got more cars? You see where I'm going with that, guys? What do you want? Do you want cars that don't work? You see where I'm going with that? So between Britain and France, I think between us, we have like 500 nuclear missiles, nuclear weapons. And again, I do need to be clear on this, guys. Okay. I don't think that's not on the cards right now. Absolutely not on the cards at the moment. What I do, if it does come on the cards where, if people start, I'm talking about the Russians, the Americans, the French, the British, if people start test firing nuclear weapons, and I don't mean the missiles, I mean the actual nuclear warhead. Anybody can test a nuclear, a missile that can be nuclear tipped. Until you test that with the nuclear bomb, I'm not even going down that road, guys. I'm saying I think it's unlikely, highly unlikely. And until we see both sides doing their own tests, I'm going to say it's not going to happen. But it is something that, I know people are talking about. Right, let me jump down. And get these guys. Listen, I do apologize if I'm missing anybody's comments. I'm not meaning to. There's just quite a few comments. KK is said, oh, hang on a minute. UK veterans, they've arrested 3 people for Hong Kong Fire 2. Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. I thought you were saying, they've arrested UK veterans for the Hong Kong fire. Right, guys, I do apologize. If I'm missing anybody's comments. Band again is saying Polish has the biggest manned army in Europe. Yeah, they do. They do. Absolutely. Poland, if we're talking about a global conflict where you've got the Americans in the Middle East supported by the Israelis fighting with Iran, and then you've got the Europeans in Europe fighting against the Russians. Poland, definitely, they have a huge military. They have an absolutely huge military, and it's only growing. I think I'm pretty sure Poland is the only country that can build Black Hawks outside of America. Silly Gallardi is saying, what makes you think that he's got a small... I don't know what that's in response to. David O'Rourke is saying, don't know you're mentioning the French, they just surrender. Yeah, look, guys, we all know the joke about French surrender monkeys, but I've done some training with the French Foreign Legion, Well, they're not. Listen, this sort of stuff would get me banned on TikTok. So I am only double streaming, guys. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share my stuff. Really does help me out, guys. And if you're watching for the first time and you've not done so already, guys, hit that subscribe button down below and the bell notification so you guys can get a notification when I'm going live, which is most days. I try as best as I can, 10 in the morning and 8 in the evening. You know, you're mentioning the French, they just surrender. I have worked quite extensively with the French Foreign Legion, and they're all right. You know, they're all right. They're not the worst guys they're not the worst guys I've ever worked with. Leonard Footlong, I think him and Silly have got something going on or something. I don't know. Maybe you guys should get a room or something. James Brook is saying Germany, see how many they sign. If not enough, they'll be forced conscription. Guys, look, we did a live stream on this. So just if you guys are joining for the first time, the title of this live stream is not clickbait. French, or well, I guess, you know, a NATO army chief literally came out addressing the host nation and said, we need to be prepared to lose our children. Literally, guys, they're the words that he said. So this is in line with the French. The French are starting voluntary, not mandatory, military service. Now, if we look what's happening in Germany, and I'm going to say the whole of Europe's going to be in lockstep pretty soon, guys. You know, it's this little tiptoe. Like James is saying there, the Germans, a couple of last month? November sometime. I think it was like mid-November. The Germans, mid-November, they said, we are doing a mandatory military medical assessment for everyone, every man aged over 18. Think about that, guys. All right, just think. Say those words to yourself. Mandatory military medical assessment. Not conscription, guys. It's not conscription. Nothing to see here. Now, on that, as James is saying, as James is saying there, the Germans are saying they will see how many they can sign up. So on this questionnaire that the Germans are doing, and this starts on the 1st of January, guys. This is not me speculating. This literally starts on the 1st of January. So in like just over a month or whatever. There'll be a little tick box. I don't know if it's going to be online or you have to do it with a pen or whatever. I don't know. But in that questionnaire, it's probably going to be online, isn't it? On that questionnaire, they're going to say, do you wish to join the German military? And if you click no, and not enough people click yes or tick yes, then the Germans have said they are going to introduce mandatory military service. And I'm just saying it now, guys. All right. I'm just saying it now. I'm calling it out now. I don't think that they're going to meet those numbers. Whatever those numbers are, and I have done a look, guys. You know, I really have done a look. I have tried to do a look. I've tried to look into this, and I can't find the numbers that are required. So I do think it's a bit like a cloak and dagger thing. Sean Wigan Lee Buxton is saying, yeah, but that absolutely doesn't make sense. I think I shot to the fan when America will go out last. I don't know what that means, Sean, but that's a lovely thumbnail. User something is saying bunting clover leaf map. Guys, I don't know if people are talking in code here or something. I don't know what I don't know what these things mean. UK veterans are saying 2 National Guard troops. I think it was 3. So if you guys don't know, there's an incident in the United States at the moment. The United States White House is locked down at the moment. Well, it may have been lifted right now. There was a shooting near the White House, and our security precautions, they have closed down. They have put the White House into lockdown. Let me just be clear, guys, okay? This wasn't an incident at the White House. What is it? 1400 Pennsylvania Avenue or whatever. I don't know. I might be wrong. Let me jump down. Right, guys, I'm going to jump to the bottom. I apologize if I'm not getting any comments. Did I get you? I don't know. Sean, do you know what? Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Sure. I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to leave that. Red Wolf is saying suspect captured. Oh, so from the United States, subjects captured. Look, in the United States are ready to pop off as well. I've been saying we're going to have World War III and IV at the same time. Literally, guys, we're going to have World War III and IV at the same time. World War III, as far as I'm concerned, World War III is going to be World War III is going to be external. That's going to be international. That's going to be it's going to be Iran. It's going to be the Middle East. It's going to be Ukraine. It's going to be Russia. And World War IV is going to be what's happening on the streets. So I do think the United States are in for some of that as well. And Donna is giving a German numbers relating to conscription. Right, okay. I couldn't find these. When were these published, Donna? Thank you for throwing this out there. German numbers relating to conscription. The target is to reach almost 250,000. You see, these timings don't make sense, guys. They need to be doing that a lot quicker. The target is to reach 255,000 to 260,000 active. Jesus Christ. That is a lot of people. Just like for me. So for me, I've dealt with these numbers. So I'm going to put that up. So I've dealt with these numbers. Now, not these numbers, actually. I've never dealt with anything remotely close to this, but I've dealt with big numbers of men. And think about how much food. Think about how much food you need. Jesus Christ. This is a migrant army, guys. This is a migrant army. They've already got them in hotels. They're already feeding them. This is a migrant army, guys. The more I think about this, the more I think about what's happening, the more I think, these migrants that are coming to the United Kingdom, they have to be used as conscripts. Do you think Bob Lazar is telling the truth? I think he believes him. I don't know. It's so wild what Bob Lazar's saying. It's so wild. It's so wild what Bob Lazar's saying. Let's stick on track, guys. Let's stick on track. Donna Prepper is saying DC shooting updates 2 now. Okay, it's 2. I thought there was 3, guys. Sorry, I do apologize. I thought there was 3. Have been hurt as gunfire erupts near the White House. Bandagain is saying Canada's ordered all civil servants to have military training. They will be used to force the rest of Canadians to conscript. Right, okay. Let's just pretend, all right? Let's just pretend for 1 second, okay? Hang on. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Right. There'll be no more of that. Thank you very much. Where was we? Yeah, so let's go down conspiracy lane for a second, guys, okay? Let's go down conspiracy lane, all right? This is total conspiracy, wild conspiracy, all right? Let's just pretend, all right, that you knew. Do you know what? Okay, right. So you guys know about Hunter Biden, right? Going out to Ukraine, yeah? You guys know about that, right? So allegedly, for entertainment purposes, Hunter Biden went out to Ukraine and he bought a shit ton of gas fields with daddy's money, knowing that daddy was going to be the next president, all right? We've all heard of that. I know this because I lost out on a deal because Hunter Biden came in and he bought the gas field that I was working with. I lost I lost a shit ton of money. I'm not bitter. Anyway, so so allegedly, for entertainment purposes. Now, you guys can go check that out, okay? Now, people are saying, right, okay, so he's just spent millions and millions on these gas fields, but they're not refurbishing these gas fields, so their money is just dead money. If you know there's a big invasion coming, you're not going to move your equipment in, are you? Because it's going to get destroyed. Now, let's just go down conspiracy lane. This is all conspiracy, guys. This is not true for entertainment purposes. Let's just consider, right? If you know that a big war is coming and you need lots of people, would it make sense to open your borders? Would it make sense to open your borders? Now, as far as I'm concerned, the hard timings that we have that can't be changed is the 2029 election. Now, this needs to happen before 2029 because the Labour Party, the Labour Party is going to be over. The Labour Party will be over unless, and I don't know if this is the case, guys, unless Keir Starmer comes out and he says, yeah, we're just going to get all those migrants, put them on ships, and they're going to be our new army, and they're going to head east. So let's not be under any illusion, guys, on how big the scale of this thing is. And then it'd all make sense. It would all make sense if that happens. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, guys. I don't know, but it's certainly an option that I've got in the back of my head. Donna Prepper is saying, no, the UK government stated it has no plans to introduce conscription and the military remains a voluntary resource force. So here's the thing in these wordings. Hang on. Oh, Poland. Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Yeah. Okay, guys. The whole, answer Rachel Lee's comment. Hang on. Where's Rachel? Sean, when will the UK be asked to sign up? Well, I don't know the dates, but the things to look out for are the things to look out for. The things to look out for are the first of all, there will be an increase in military recruitment. That will be the first thing. They're going to really push getting young white men to join the military. And again, it's throughout history, nobody fights better. You know what? I'm going to say it now, guys, okay? Nobody fights better than white Christian men. Nobody. There's nobody that can come together like white Christian men. They can't. Nobody on this earth. Nobody on this earth, because they can work as a team. And being in the military is all about working as a team. So one of the things you would see initially will be an uptick in legitimate military recruitment. So, you'll have some really badass military recruitment videos, maybe Royal Marines, 99% need not apply, whatever, so that will be the first thing, because you're going to want to get these people in phases. You're going to want to get the motivated people first, and you're going to use those for different roles. Then you're going to use the conscripts. So I don't want to put timings on this because it's very difficult. But if we look at the time difference between France and Germany, they announced this within a month. They announced this within a month of each other. User FW is saying, you guys realize Russia took 20 million casualties and the USA took 350,000. Who won World War II? You do realize okay, so I understand where you're going, mate. But you do realize that the Russians and the Americans were on the same side, right? I hope you do. Okay, I hope you do. But yeah, I totally understand what you mean. The Russians are well capable of that attrition rate, and this is what people don't understand, the use of conscripts. Bandigan is saying, Europe has started far too late trying to build a world-class army big enough to take on Russia. Hang on, guys. Donna was saying something about Poland. There we are. Poland, mandatory medical evaluation. Poland expects to issue about 235,000 summonses for a mandatory military. Can you imagine going in? You're going in like with a limp and, oh, me eye. For a mandatory military medical evaluation. This is not conscription. It's not conscription, guys. It's not conscription. It's just a check. Just a check to see if you guys are ready. White Eagle Snowdonia. What a fantastic thumbnail. Stop wars, start raves. I agree. I'm all for less wars and more raves. These imported Islamists will not fight for the UK. They will attempt to take over once this country is plunged into war. Look, I agree. I agree that is a potential. I totally agree that is a potential. What I would say is once you get these people in small numbers with big numbers, once you are... Okay, so these guys are in... Okay, let's go back to what Ant Middleton was saying the other day, right? Ant Middleton was saying these guys are in barracks. Very easy. Very easy to close down a barracks. Very easy, guys, all right? The fences all the way around them. You literally go... And look, guys, and what I'm saying right now is so wild. What I'm saying right now is so wild, but I don't see any other option. I don't see any other option. So so White Eagle Snowdonia, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute, but I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna say I do actually, agree that is one potential option. So let's just say, for example, that, migrant, a barracks, whatever, Shorncliffe Barracks in Kent or whatever, 500 migrants, whatever. Very easy to go in there and take 500, take those 500 people. You use the existing military with guns and shit. You get them, you send them, you get them into Eastern Europe. You say, right, you guys are now soldiers. Go that way. Just go that way. Because that's what the Russians are doing. That's how you use conscripts. You don't give conscripts tactical training and life support and all the rest of it. You literally just say, right, here's a rifle. Maybe even not. Maybe just, right, go that way. Pillage your way through. And this is why Europe is in such a dire... Okay, so here's a question for you guys, all right? Here's a question. Do you think that this offer would be attractive to some Russians, all right? Just, I'd say this would be attractive to some people in the UK. In fact, I know it would. So, do you think this offer is attractive? Right. Okay, conscripts, close in. I have new mission for you. I'm not going to pay you, but don't worry. You push through Europe and you take whatever you want. You can rob banks. You can rob electrical store. You can take whatever night trainers you want, but you need to keep pushing east. Do you think that'd be an attractive offer for some Russians? Literally land pirates. That's the modern warfare now, guys. Okay, we're talking about land pirates. We're not talking about tactics where we've got rules of armed conflict and international rules of engagement. We're not talking... All that shit's gone out the window. We are talking about Mad Max type land pirates. And that's what's coming to Europe. And these little solicitors with their books and their laws and their legislation, those land pirates don't give a flying fuck about that legislation. They don't give a shit about the law. They don't give a shit. They're not going to care that David Lammy's got one of those hats on, those blonde wigs. I'm just thinking of David Lammy in a blonde wig. You guys know what I'm talking about, the judges thing, right? I don't know what it's called. There's probably a name for it. The judges. Somebody put it in the chat what that's called. These land pirates do not give a shit. Guys, they do not give a shit. James is saying, can you believe the leader of Ukraine is an actor? He's no military or statesmanship experience at all. It's crazy he could start World War III. I saw a white thing fall out of his nose the other day while he was doing a speech. And Donna's got a follower in Poland. Military exercise. The government is authorized to call up 200,000 people for military exercises. Remember, guys, this is not conscription. This is not conscription. This is not conscription, guys. This is not conscription. We're just going to call you guys up for a mandatory military exercise. It's not conscription. You're not fighting. It's just an exercise, okay? 200,000 people. Right, I'm going to jump to the bottom, guys. I'm going to jump to the bottom. Listen, guys, I'm apologizing if I'm not getting anybody's chat. Oh. Okay, right. Let me get back onto this, guys. Let me get back onto this. Okay, I'm getting this from Al Jazeera. 2 National Guard troops have been shot in Washington, D.C. They have 1 suspect in custody, and that the scene near the White House is secure. Right, I'm not getting any fatalities. Let me see what else I can find. Yeah, I got it here. National Guard members killed in shooting near White House. 21 minutes ago. 2 National Guard were shot near the White House in Washington, D.C. Homeland Security reports. White House lockdown as 2 National Guard officers shot. So there's not really much more information out about this, guys. They've got 1 person in custody. Look, like I said, I've said this for quite a while. You know, the situation in America is a lot different to the situation in the United Kingdom. So when I say we need something like a Second Amendment in the United Kingdom, I'm being very clear. I'm not calling for guns in the United Kingdom because, like, to reach that saturation point, it's just not going to happen. And we would have things like that. We would have things happen like that in the United Kingdom as well. So when I call for a Second Amendment, I need to be quite clear. I'm calling for the right to oppose a tyrannical government. I'm not calling for the guns bit. Pipstar is saying, that's awful news. Time to take a stand soon. Methinks be prepared. I think a lot of people do as well. And Helen is saying they'll just make you a volunteer. Right, let me just get up here, guys, because I want to get onto this with the... I want to see what's happening. Okay, so it looks like both of these guys have... Look. The situation in America is not the situation in the United Kingdom, although they do have a lot of similarities. In the United States, they have guns. All right, they have guns. And I think that's fine. I've got no problem with that. I think we in the United Kingdom, we need some sort of Second Amendment where we have the ability to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. Now, I've said that for quite a while. But without the guns. Right, guys, I'm just going to share a quick video with you guys. So I'm going to go. I think I'm going to do another emergency live stream straight after this, guys. I think straight after this, I'm going to do another emergency live stream and talk about what's happening in the United States. Before we do that, I just want to share this with you guys, okay? Because there's more talk about what's happening in. There's more talk about what's happening in France now, about the French conscription that's not conscription because it's voluntary military service. So let's just share this, guys, okay?
I did my military gear. Do
you think they and French young people and others across Europe need to just be better informed about the potential threat from Russia and the threat that poses to the way of life that perhaps many of them take for granted?
Yeah, the threat exists clearly, but not only for France. I mean, for the whole of Europe. I did my military duty. It was a long time ago, but I spent a year. I'm not sure I was ready to fight, and things are even much more different today. Obviously, fighting against drones or bombings or the new technologies that you have. I'm not sure that a few months will be enough to do it and to make soldiers. Really, we only.
So just quickly, so you see where they're going now. I think it was James who said in the comments before, Europe is starting too late because Europe have been in denial. People are in denial about this threat. When people move this amount of money, time, effort, resources, the outcome is inevitable, all right? Don't listen to what people are saying. Don't listen to this 28-point peace plan. It's a fugazi, it's fake, it's smoke and mirrors. It's never going to happen. Look what people are doing. Look what people are putting their money into. Look what people are preparing for.
Have 200,000 professional soldiers in France. So, and it would take a long time, clearly. So if the threat is in, let's say, 2 or 3 years, as we can hear from time to time, we will never have enough time to be ready for this. And once again, this needs a real debate in front of the parliament and of the people of this country.
So it's getting closer, guys, all right? There's no denying it, both metaphorically and physically. This war is getting closer, guys. This war is getting closer by the minute. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down. I'm going to come straight back on with an emergency live stream, and we are just going to talk about the incident in the United States. Okay, guys. I'm conscious that this needs to be done as a separate live stream to get this to get all this information out. So what I'll do is, guys, I know this is a bit ad hoc, but listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here and I do this live. I don't know what's going to happen day to day. I just deal with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this down now. You guys hang around, guys. Okay, hang around. I'm going to close this down. Literally, I'm not going to move. I may have a bite of that apple. I'm not going to move. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to open up another live stream, and I'm going to talk about the shooting in the United States, guys. Okay. So I'm going to tap out now. I'll be straight back on with another live stream, guys. Okay. Don't go away.